Today we'll have reports from labor and workforce. We will have reports from health and reports from education. But first I want to welcome two special guests that we have today to talk about SEC football. University of Tennessee Chancellor Donde Plowman and University of Tennessee Athletic Director Phillip Fulmer have joined me today to talk more about football time in Tennessee. And as they safely welcome students back to campus and athletes back onto the field. We've already seen success of live venue sports in our state. I was in Bristol a few weeks ago for the NASCAR race where some 25,000 fans attended and saw that race, and then health officials reported weeks later that there were no cases associated with that. So it's important to remember that we can return safely. It's up to us. Minor adjustments like wearing a mask will make that possible. And I am proud of the efforts that the University of Tennessee has made to make sure that we can enjoy games and that we can enjoy one less cancellation in 2020. Chancellor Plowman has been a tremendous advocate for students and for making sure that at the University of Tennessee, the disruptions of COVID-19 don't disrupt the mission of that university to provide a world-class education and opportunity for students. And Coach Fulmer's expertise and reputation in the SEC has been a tremendous asset in getting this done with regard to football. I want to thank President Boyd for his leadership as well. UT's approach has been effective and impressive, and I'm pleased with the direction that our flagship university is headed. So if you would please, Chancellor Plowman, come up and give a few remarks about the return of football at the University of Tennessee.
Thank you, Governor, so much. I was excited to come over here. I hadn't thought about the fact of 100 years ago today, so to be standing here in this Capitol at your podium, it's a moment in my life I'll never forget, so thank you. Tennessee football means so much to the people in our state, and we appreciate your partnership and your support. And everyone saw what he was wearing today. So we know you love Auburn, but we're glad that you love Tennessee at the University of Tennessee. I know Athletic Director Phillip Fulmer had conversations with Commissioner Ezell about Bristol, and we want to learn more about the best practices from that experience. We understand it was really good. We appreciate the collaboration and your administration's partnership in sharing the best practices aimed at protecting health and safety for anyone who may enter our stadium. We've said from the beginning that of this health crisis, our primary responsibility at the university is to ensure the health and safety and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff. And within the context of athletics, our focus first and foremost is the health and well-being of our student athletes. At UT, we have strong leadership in the athletic department, and you're going to get to hear from him in just a minute. And we're so fortunate to have in the SEC the really capable leadership of our commissioner, Greg Sankey. He has stressed from the beginning the importance of having a well-developed plan, going slow, being deliberative, learning as we go, and that's what we've done, and it's served the conference well, and we're trying to do the same thing at University of Tennessee. So together with the SEC, we have created a responsible plan and have followed that every step of the way, continuing to adapt and add protocols for our athletes as we learn more. Our players understand they have a personal responsibility to follow all of the protocols established by our medical staff around COVID-19, and I'm so proud of the way they're actually leading the campus, wearing their masks, social distancing, health and safety protocols that have been given to them. And I want to just share with you a little bit how the SEC makes its decisions. The decisions about whether we play, how we play, the policies and the procedures are made by a group of presidents and chancellors, and I serve on that group. As Chancellor, I represent Tennessee. We meet at least once a week, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times a week. We're guided by the input of the commissioner, and we're guided by the athletic directors and the coaches. We have an amazing SEC medical task force made up of epidemiologists, infectious disease specialists, team doctors, sports medicine experts from each of our universities. They've been meeting regularly 2-3 times a week and helping us and specifying protocols. We we seek their advice and we follow their advice. So we've worked with the SEC to be deliberate, and so at Tennessee we have slowed the return of student athletes to practice. Our players have been on campus for more than two months and have had limited access. They haven't even been using a football. We started practice yesterday. So that's how slow and careful we've been. The conference delayed the opening of the season, I think everyone knows that, till September 26 in respect to the start of the fall semester. Again, the words of the commissioner, go slow, be deliberate. The conference changed, as I know you all know, to a conference-only schedule to establish better consistency about testing and to feel really good about the same testing standards that we're all using. We developed and announced COVID-19 testing protocols and other health measures. At the University of Tennessee, we follow the medical staff advice and especially the advice of the SEC with the medical task force. The COVID testing program requires that our players be tested a minimum of once a week during practice, and once we start playing games, 3 times a week. Any players who need to isolate will undergo a thorough cardiac evaluation prior to returning to activity. We understand that concerns remain about COVID-19, and the leadership in the athletic department are very transparent, are communicating with the players and their parents constantly about these challenges. We have been intentional in talking with our players at both the university and conference levels. I've met with the football team a couple of times myself, listening to them. What are their concerns? What are their questions? And trying to answer them. Players who choose to opt out from playing during COVID-19 and due to this will retain their scholarships and remain in good standing with the team. We said from the outset that the circumstances around this virus would guide our decision making, and that's been the case we've taken at every step. Our players, our coaches are working very hard. We are preparing to play, and we remain hopeful that we will get to do so. We will listen to that medical task advisory group, and as the commissioner has said himself, if they tell us it's not safe, we won't go forward. And that's been the philosophy of the SEC from the beginning. We understand that game day will likely be very different, and when Coach Fulmer comes to the podium, I know he wants to talk about that. So thank you very much for inviting me. That's a brief update on what's happening with football.
Thank you, Chancellor.
Yeah.
Coach, why don't you come up and tell us what we can expect, a little more about what we can expect.
Well, first of all, I want to say how grateful we are to have this opportunity to be here and share time with you, and thank you for the tremendous work that you've done leading us and the state through this challenge of COVID-19. I told some people this morning I've loved being the athletic director for the first 2.5 years. I have not loved the last 4 or 5 months at all. It's been a challenge, but thank goodness for the leadership of Donde Plowman as our chancellor, and she told you most of what I'll repeat some of it probably. The leadership of our governor and our medical staff force that has been right there by our side and leading the way. As Chancellor Plowman said, the Southeastern Conference has taken a very deliberate approach to gather data and to make decisions as they learn more about this virus and how it affects our young people. The health and the safety is paramount to our charge to take care of our young people. Obviously, attendance this fall is one of the discussions that constantly come up. We're grateful for our good friends at Bristol and the efforts that they made to, again, pave the way to some degree for what we're getting ready to do. But obviously, whatever happens, it's clear that the capacity in Neyland Stadium will be reduced if we get to start on time or if it's a later date in the fall or next spring because of social distancing. We're anticipating somewhere around the 25% mark, and we hope to be able to achieve that. Obviously, we need our community and our students and our players. I think our players in all sports have led the way, and our coaches have led the way. We need everybody to continue to wear masks and be responsible. The SEC and our local health departments and our state health departments have established outstanding guidelines for us to follow. Obviously, facial coverings will be required at the games, health screening for our employees, our vendors, our contractors along the way. We've gone to mobile ticketing, which means that we will not be handling the tickets back and forth from each other. Zone entries so that we can get people to their seats in a more convenient way, that we're not crossing paths with lots of people. Plexiglass at the concessions. Cleaning efforts. We actually have a stadium clean team established for the ball game. So we're looking forward to the start of the season. We're looking at different aspects that go along with Southeastern Conference football, like tailgating, certainly band protocols. In any way that we can, we need to avoid large gatherings. And so we're looking at those as we go along, and my take on it is we probably won't have those. Game day traditions like the Vol Walk and the band march could very well be unsafe for everybody concerned. So again, we're kind of making the decision that we will probably not have those. One of the questions I know I'll get quickly is the financial impact. Obviously, with social distancing and the reduction of the capacity of who can come to the games, there's a $30 to $40 million loss that's there that we'll have to figure out as we go along. We've been very proactive in the cost-cutting measures since last spring, as we've made 20% cuts in our budgets all across the athletic department, a hiring freeze, and we know that there's more things coming as we deal with the academic side of campus and try to figure it out. Our medical staff has been tremendous. Dr. Chris Klink and Jason McVeigh have led the way with boots on the ground and have done a tremendous job. We've had 23 cases since May. A good portion of those came right after July the 4th. And unfortunately, some people gathered too much. So that again made a statement to our athletes that we need to be fully committed to get football where it needs to be, to stay safe for each other and stay safe for our loved ones. But again, we're appreciative of the opportunity, and I think we'll be available afterwards if there are other questions. Thank you.